St John's Works was demolished, leaving an area of brownfield site overlooking the village of Falkland ripe for development. As a group of planning students from Dundee University, we were approached to submit a development proposal that was focused on creating a tourism-orientated land use that will become an economic place driver for wider Falkland. We arrived at our proposal having carried out a detailed analysis looking at a number of social, economic and environmental aspects regarding the village of Falkland and its people. During numerous site visits to Falklands, data was collected and analysed. Firstly, a SWOT analysis was conducted, finding a number of key strengths, including the community spirit that is fostered within the village, as well as the Falkland Palace itself. One of the weaknesses identified were the narrow streets and pavements, which makes access difficult for both vehicles and pedestrians. Pedestrian traffic counts were also carried out to give an understanding of traffic flow throughout the village. One conclusion drawn from this is that there is a vehicle bias as opposed to a perhaps more desirable pedestrian bias for Falkland. This was observed through pedestrians giving way to cars where pavements were discontinued or absent altogether. The photo analysis identifies some of the visible problems within the village, such as double yellow lines, narrow streets and streets that have been blocked up by cars parking either side of the road. For example, the Westport Road leading to the centre for stewardship. All these observations make congestion a bigger problem in Falkland. Regarding existing connectivity in and around Falkland, there are a number of pathways and trails. However, it has been noted that there's certainly room for improvement both at a local and strategic level. As Falkland is located on the boundary between Edinburgh and Dundee's strategic development areas, it does not receive the same level of transport connections as more central towns and villages such as Ladybank or St Andrews. On a local level, there's fairly poor connections between Falkland, Newton and Fruchie, as the B936 road runs through these villages as opposed to travelling to them. Our development plan includes a number of housing developments in Falkland, Newton and Fruchie, which will aim to act as a catalyst for better transport connections between these villages and to wider Fife and Scotland. Moreover, this improvement in transport can be harnessed by the tourism industry in an effort to cycle more visitors through Falkland in particular. A large part of arriving at our development proposal was to examine existing case studies of similar designs around the world. Many of the fundamental points of our proposal are drawn from these examples, from Scotland all the way to New Zealand. These designs celebrate principles such as resourcefulness, sustainability and high quality design. This all falls in line with the Tay Plan strategic development plan for new development, as well as the views of the Falklanders, whom we have spoken to throughout our analysis. A number of case studies also show the benefits of a mixed-use site with 2 to 4 different land uses on the site as opposed to a single land use. We believe this will create a more flexible site that would be more inviting for tourists and locals alike. This idea will be explored in more detail in the vision for our development. Having done a number of site visits and studies of the surrounding built environment and spoken to the locals in the village of Falkland, we've arrived at a development proposal that is both bold and forward-thinking, but connects well with the wider village and puts the interests of the people of Falkland at heart. After extensive social, environmental and economic research, we've planned a mixed-use site that can be shared between the people of Falkland and visitors to the village alike. Moreover, this will bring an exciting diversification to the local tourism industry and inject money into Falkland. Part of the thinking behind a mixed-use site is to mitigate any adverse effects on the village's historic heart and rustic aesthetic, particularly given the proportion of the site compared with the village. In addition to this, it will help bind this village in a more seamless manner compared to a large single-use block development. With regards to the housing on the site, we have allocated a small number of houses. However, we've looked into spreading housing elsewhere in Falkland, Newton and Fruki. This meets local demand for housing as well as introducing new land uses in Falkland itself. This spread of housing can be seen elsewhere in the surrounding areas, in places such as the Balcarres estate in the east nook of Fife. Benefits of this include a variety of options for potential homeowners, as well as bringing together smaller villages into a larger collective.
Playground.